chess in 2016 at Stamford Hospital, where I got a job as a healthcare assistant for Vicky Griggs, our ward manager at the time.
Yeah.
And then, so I started my healthcare journey again there in the NHS. And then Vicky saw potential in me and decided to second me to do my training as an adult nurse. Sorry, I'm getting really nervous now.
No, it's fine.
So she seconded me to do my training. So because I was obviously working as a healthcare assistant, I was also going through studying as well at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was really, really hard, wasn't it? Even
It
when
was.
I
It
used
was.
to,
It was a long because it's lengthened, isn't it?
yeah,
'Cause you
it
were
was
doing
very
the course
lengthy as well,
part-time
of course.
and working part-time
I
as
mean,
well.
just to clear up some confusion now, so no, it's really tricky. It's really tricky because obviously I know all about your journey, and we're just trying to obviously get that across to especially our young listeners, because it's I'm really honestly I'm really honoured to have you guys here today, because as much as I get these questions quite a lot in school, especially in the healthcare sector, and I'm very limited as a maths teacher. I can only advise them so far, but obviously having you two guys here today and hopefully bringing your journeys across to our young listeners, the aim of the show today is going to be about trying to give somebody out there just a little bit of direction into what they could possibly do and what they could expect in the industry that you guys know very, very well, like the back of your hand. So going on to the career itself as a nurse, it's like teaching. It's a public sector role. We do not measure it. We don't measure the rewards on a monetary scale. So the rewards are very intangible. Going on to some of your rewarding feelings after a shift, let's say in the NHS or any other healthcare industry you might work or organisation you might work for, what rewards or what would you class as rewards, Vicky?
For me, it's there's so many different aspects to it. It could be something as simple as making a patient feel more comfortable, seeing that look on their face when you know they're quite anxious, but you've put them at ease. It could be that you've spent the last minutes with a dying patient, holding their hands. And that's when it's sort of, it can be tough, but it's an honour to be with someone when perhaps their families can't be there.
Absolutely.
And to share that moment with them. That I've done that a lot through my career, and that stays with me.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's been times I've been at the beginning of lives. I've helped deliver babies, and I've been there when people have died. And to see life go from the start to the end is quite a privilege. And in nursing, every day is different. You can work on the same ward for years and years and years, or the same area.
And have a good day.
And you can have good days, and then you can have bad days, but every day is different. And it's the team that you work with that gets you through it. Having a good support network around you, making even the toughest days a little bit more easier because of the people that you're working with, and seeing the effects that you're having on those patients, because it's a stressful environment for patients. They're out of their their homes. They don't feel secure. They might be away from their loved ones. They don't know what's going on. Again, we have the language barriers, which there's lots that the trusts do now to support people with that, but the humanity of just reaching out and touching someone, regardless of what their ethnicity is or what their cultures or languages are.
I mean, at that, sorry to interrupt, but at that point, like you said earlier, with the diverse teams that you guys have, I'm sure that would come to your advantage, because you could then rely on somebody else.
Yes.
or get somebody else to help you
Down
with that
to the
language barrier?
cleaners, we use a lot of Polish people for
Yeah.
cleaning. So when we've got Polish patients coming in, they can talk to them. A lot of the Europeans, they speak several languages. I've had patients that speak Russian and goodness knows how many other languages, and they've come and they've been able to help doctors do assessments and put patients' minds at ease and get histories. And it's amazing the way people will work together for
Of course.
the good needs of patients.
Absolutely, and I think on the drive here we had a challenge for Vicky in the car where we have to teach her some Urdu before the end of the day. So that's going to add to your language skills. Okay, so Nabila, this one's for you. How would you describe the feeling of helping someone out without using names? Could you perhaps give an example of when you felt rewarded through your line of work?
I can give many examples, actually.
Just one would be fine.
Well, it was only just last week.
Yeah.
I was shopping in Asda,
Mm-hmm.
and
Other supermarkets are available.
was shopping in Asda, and a patient that I looked after approached me and said, "Oh, I recognise you." And I said, "Oh, hi. Sorry, where do I know you from?" And so anyway, they said, "Oh, you looked after me in A&E.
Right.
I'm so thankful for what you did." And then it's one of those things where you don't forget your patients, but because we have so
You see
many
Yeah.
coming through the door, you just kind of
Plus,
forgot what they look like, because they look so well.
Yes.
As well, because
And they're normally undressed. They've
Yeah.
just got their nights on, aren't they? So when you see them
Absolutely.
fully dressed, you don't recognise them.
so yeah, they really thanked me for my care, and the daughter was very appreciative. So, and that wasn't the only time somebody actually approached me.
So you've had that multiple times.
I've had that multiple times. So it is a very, very rewarding job. It can be emotionally stressful as well. But yeah, I could say I absolutely love my job.
Amazing. In contrast to that, if you see me in a supermarket and my students come up to me, I'm probably running the other way. So it's not a similar conversation. So I'm trying to hide behind the aisles, or probably in the frozen food section or something like that. Okay, so skills and qualifications needed to pursue a nursing career. Now, I'm sure you guys are aware this show is all about education matters. So the whole idea and the purpose of us starting this show a few weeks ago was because even as a student myself a few years ago, I never had the opportunity to go through tuition. I never had the opportunity to have mentors at an age where they would have made a real difference. So hence why we've opened this channel up, and I know we've got loads of students out there, speaking to them through on a daily basis in schools. I know they're very, very unsure about the health sector. So, for example, we know, I'm talking as a student now, so we know we need to be good at science to go into the health field or health sector field. And some of our kids, unfortunately, that's the limit. That's all they would know. Just be good at science. But in reality, what other skills, what advice could we give to these young kids in a crucial point of their life in secondary school, going into their GCSEs or in the midst of their GCSEs? What do you guys think would help our listener today in order to try and follow an avenue that they didn't know existed a few minutes ago?
It's not always down to science GCSEs. Depends on, there's so many job roles within the NHS. It doesn't have to be on the medical side.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to do nursing, you could be a healthcare assistant. So for that, you would just need to have good communication skills. Maths and English would be good. English particularly, maths. There's a lot of support when you do get through to interview and you're successful. So for those people that aren't quite as academic as others, and they really want to take an interest in the NHS. Concentrate on, your communication skills, your English. Try and work with your exams for your maths. Try and get those up to speed, and then it's how you present yourself at interview, and also when you do your CV, it's trying to get a bit of background before you go into the NHS. Try and get a little bit of experience if you can. I would always suggest perhaps joining a voluntary group, and perhaps going into nursing homes just as a volunteer to sort of get used to dealing with patients and just sitting with them, because there's a lot of challenges with, for example, dementia patients, that some people when they first start would be quite taken back by that if they'd not come across that before. So getting a bit of experience, joining something like Help the Aged, where you can befriend patients in their own homes. That's a good way in, just to give a bit of background. So when you do apply, they know that you're the type of character that would like to pursue it, rather than someone that's got all the academic qualifications, but actually once they start the course, it's like, oh no, this isn't really for me.
Of course.
So it's getting a bit of experience if you can. I know with the secondary schools, there's work experience placements with most hospital trusts will do that.
That's at year 10. I think that's a year 10 stage. Normally, most schools would do it around year 10. So that's something they could obviously look forward to. Yes,
that's quite competitive to get in. So, do a good statement, letter ready for application, and sort of start from there. But I think it's looking outside the box, and certainly volunteering is a good way in.
Amazing. I mean, going back to some of our kids, and the reason why I was talking about the science was there's a few occasions where as a teacher, as a form tutor, I've had outstanding students who've approached me, and I know they've got amazing communication skills. They've present themselves really well around the school. They're involved in all the extracurricular around the school. But it's really small, defined margins, for example, where they just don't know what they're going to do after year 11. And what the entry route would be to pursue some of the things that we mentioned today, like, for example, their career in nursing, if they were going to be a nurse. I want to touch upon a little bit with you, Nabila. So, because it's relevant to what we're saying now, I know for a fact that knowing your journey in quite depth, a lot of depth actually, but knowing your journey and then seeing some of the students who would be absolutely amazing nurses in the future, and I hope they find their avenue and they get guided in the right at the right times. Now, your journey wasn't as easy into nursing, so for those of us out there who, like Vicky, you mentioned, are not academic, are not going to be good with our exams, are not going to maybe go down the uni route the first time round. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey to start off with that got you into nursing? Because I know you started off as a healthcare assistant.
Yeah.
So let's take it from there.
Well, going back to my school days, I loved music and drama. I loved hair and beauty.
So X Factor didn't work out for you then?
I didn't really have kind of mentors to kind of guide me.
Yeah.
I started working, like I said, at a young age in a care home after I left school. So the thing was, when I got into the care home, I started to really take to what I was doing. I really, really enjoyed it. I used to love talking to the residents, basic care, just helping them with their daily activities and just supporting them. So as obviously years went on, I decided I didn't want to stay as a care assistant. I wanted to obviously pursue a career in nursing. So like I said, when I joined the NHS, at that time, I didn't even know I could have an avenue going back into education.
Exactly. This is what we were saying earlier. You're limited, you're restricted because you think this is it.
Yeah.
So what made you aware of the next step?
So like I said, going back when I joined the NHS in 2016, I met obviously Vicky as my ward manager. And like I said, she saw potential in me, I hope. Well, you did, obviously.
I
think the proof's in the pudding now, yeah.
So, yeah, she saw potential in me and she said, Bella, you're more better. Well,
you could achieve more.
Could achieve more than just a care assistant. And I want you to pursue a career in nursing. And I said to Vicky, well, I don't really have much qualifications other than my GCSEs. And I don't know how to go about it. Well, she said that there was some funding through the ward and that she would second me to do my training and that I would have to basically do my level 2 maths and English again. So anyway, I enrolled to do my level 2 maths and English. I got on the uni course straight away, Vicky, which obviously helped me through that. And then I started in September 2017, where I was studying part-time, going to university at Anglia Ruskin. And then obviously I had a great support network. Obviously, like I had a great husband that supported me through it.
I wish I'd meet this guy one day.
Family, friends, and most importantly, I had a ward manager that absolutely supported me through thick and thin, where I thought I wasn't going to pass any of my essays and exams and, even drug calculations. So, yeah, we kind of pulled through together. I couldn't have done it without them. No,
that's fine. Thank you for that. Good little insight there. While you were talking, there is a message from Shaheen, who's saying, really inspired by your journey, Nabila, because you were talking about GCSEs, I assume. So her message was, what qualifications would I need? Because you mentioned GCSEs. What qualifications would I need? I know we're going to be coming to the break, and I did do a little research myself earlier. So I'll answer that one quickly before we go into the ad breaks. So Shaheen, so each university sets its own entry requirements if you are going through that route to get into a full-time degree in nursing. But as a general guide, you'll need at least 5 A to C grades in GCSEs, including English and maths and a science subject, like you mentioned earlier, Vicky. And at least 2, preferably 3 A-levels. Many universities require A-level in biology for obvious reasons. But then you've got alternative level 3 qualifications, which are also available through colleges and they're approved by universities. You've got access courses, BTEC national diplomas. But you must check with each university directly before you make an application. And you can, of course, find out more about studying to be a nurse on the NHS website.
Yes, or the RCN.
RCN.
Yeah.
So RCN website as well. I'm just wary we're going to go into an ad break any second. So hopefully that answers your question, Shaheen. Now tune back in after the break, where we will be discussing a little bit more about the life of a nurse. Thank you.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Masterminds Tuition Academy is for your high schoolers, your something to provers, your subject strugglers and keen learners, your brave jumpers and fist pumpers. Affordable personalised learning plans are delivered through our centres in schools across Peterborough. But not to worry, we also provide online and home visits with flexible timings. Whether it is maths, English, science or 11+, Masterminds is a must. Find us on all socials and visit our website mastermindstuitionacademy.com or call us on 07516 166 003. Masterminds, master the matrix.
At Masters Pharmacy, we put your health and convenience first. We offer free blood pressure checks and blister-packed medication. With our free same-day prescription delivery service, you can have your medication when you need it. We also offer travel vaccinations, including Hajj and Umrah, along with other services to meet all your pharmacy needs. For more information, contact Masters Pharmacy on 01733 567 208 or visit us at 303 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PH.
Thinking of laser hair removal but worried about cost? Well Skin Clinic, Peterborough's #1 aesthetic clinic, offers 0% finance on courses of laser hair removal. We perform thousands of treatments using the Soprano titanium in our prestigious clinic. Virtually pain-free and suitable for all skin types, our team of aesthetic professionals can help you achieve your goals affordably. Well Skin Clinic, making life-changing aesthetic treatments affordable for all. 40 Cowgate, Peterborough. Call or WhatsApp us on 01733 555540.
Do you own a restaurant or takeaway? Cater Fair is an expert supplier of new and used commercial catering equipment. Visit caterfair.co.uk for quality equipment on sale at the lowest prices, or call us on 01733 310 115 or visit us at 11 Royce Road, Fengate, Peterborough.
At Cake Inn, all our cakes and slices are freshly baked for that delicious taste. At Cake Inn, we bake 100% vegetarian and halal eggless fresh queen cakes. Delicious flavoured cakes for birthdays and weddings, ceremonies and all other occasions, with free customised messages, even balloons and candles too. Order for delivery or collection from Cake Inn, 489 Lincoln Road, PE1 2PE, and your cake could be ready within 2 hours. Find out more and order online at cakein.co.uk or call 01733 496 584.
Mar food store Lincoln Road Triangle te inna rush o balle hoye tusani amba ne pure mulke vich role
पाकिस्तानी सौगातां जी अंब ले लो जामनू ले लो पाकिस्तानी ताजे मिठे अंब ते जामनू आ गए जी
ਯਕੀਨ ਕਰੋ ਜੀ ਭਾਈ ਨਾ ਮਾਰ ਫੂਡ ਸਟੋਰ ਵਾਲੇ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਵਰਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਬ੍ਰਾਂਡ ਦਾ ਅੰਬ ਮੰਗਵਾ ਕੇ ਪੂਰੇ ਯੂਕੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਸ਼ ਲਵਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨੀ ਜਾਮਣੂ ਵੀ ਭਾਈ ਉਹ ਜਨੇ ਨੇ ਆ ਪੁੱਤਰ
Amar Food Stores, Al Mashu, fresh halal meat and groceries. Address 613B Lincoln Road, Triangle, Peterborough. Telephone 01733 687374. Amar Food Stores, Meyar ka naam, Munasib Daam.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. Welcome back to Education Matters. So today's episode is all about nursing. So how to get into nursing, what avenues to look into, and we're hoping to just give you a little bit of advice about your future careers in nursing. So just as before, if you do want to get in touch, then you can call on 01733 602 133. Text messages on 07411191062, and you can comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, X, or on Twitch. So back to the topic to hand. Now, just before the break, thank you for your message, Shaheen. Now, we have got a couple of messages which I just want to go over. So let's pick one out. Do I need to go to university? Do I need to go into university, Vicky?
To be a nurse?
To be a nurse, yes.
Not to be a healthcare assistant. There's lots of roles where you don't need to go to university. As Nabila said, she started off as a healthcare assistant, really enjoyed it. And a healthcare assistant isn't just washing patients and toileting them. There's a lot of extended roles now that healthcare assistants do.
Yeah, like bloods and cannulations, ECG, basic wound care. So a healthcare assistant
wouldn't need to go to university.
Oh no. Yeah.
So now I don't know who sent the message because you've got tags. I can't really understand
so
that.
for nursing,
but whoever it was, I think what they're asking is, do you need to go to university to be a nurse?
yes.
Yes, it's a degree
Essentially,
course.
yes. Okay.
But you can do it online if that's what they're saying. There are online courses. You would be attached to a hospital or a trust, but you would have to have some days. But it's not like if you're doing a degree in, say, history, that you have to go and stay at a university for 3 years. It's not the same sort of thing. So a lot of nurses will join a university within a trust around where they live, so they can sort of live at home, and that would cut the costs down. But there are
But
financial...
it's still a degree level, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah. It's always a degree level, but there are financial incentives. If they go onto the NHS jobs or Government UK, there is a section called Find Apprenticeships website.
Okay.
And there is sort of funding, sort of 5,000 plus to support people through degrees. This keeps varying depending on the state of the government.
I think I did do a little bit of research about the financial support you could get earlier. And you're right, there is a training grant of £5,000 per year for new and continuing students. You've also got parental support payments of £2,000 per student per year. And you've got a specialist subject payment of £1,000 per year for new students. But they would only be applicable for new students on mental health and learning disability degrees. So quite a lot of support out there as well. But in a nutshell, to answer that question, yes, they would need to go to uni. One more question while we've got it up. Am I too old to train?
Absolutely not.
And that's Sonia. So I don't know how old you are, Sonia, but am I too old to train? That's all it says. So
there isn't an upper age limit. It's whether you're fit, because it is quite a strenuous job. The hours are long. The shifts are sort of 11 and a half hours, and that can be quite daunting. Again, it depends on which job role you're applying for, because there's so many other job roles within the NHS rather than just nursing. So I wouldn't say age is a barrier at all.
Okay, fantastic. Right, so we'll come back to the questions later on. If you still want to message or get in touch, then like we said, you can message on our Facebook, which is on my screen right now, so that'll come to me straight away. Okay, so we mentioned a little bit about obviously volunteering, extracurricular, and I think we kind of covered with the science one. Biology is probably a little bit more important, but again, there's no right or wrong. Now, I want to move on to the do's and don'ts as a trainee. So let's say our young listeners out there have managed to get themselves enrolled, or managed to get themselves in a healthcare environment, I'll call it. What would the do's and don'ts be as a trainee or a new member of staff in the health background?
Well, you need to know the fundamental values of the NHS, which are the 6 C's. And that's basically you need to show care, compassion, you're competent, good communication, obviously courage as well, and commitment. And these are all values essential to high quality care. So yeah, those are the do's. So basically, one of the do's. so go into it expecting, obviously, to provide that sort of care. What about on a daily basis? Let's imagine they are running around the ward like headless chickens as new trainees. Any advice for new trainees on the ward? Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to say to people, I'm overwhelmed, I don't understand, I'm not sure what I'm doing. We're not going. You promise we're not going to get telling off for that? Absolutely not, no. Safety is paramount, so if you're not sure about anything, always ask. Okay. Right, let's move on to a little bit more personal to you guys. Vicky, going back a couple of years,
when you first started nursing. What
Yes.
what led you to pursue your career in nursing? What initially got you, what was the fire in the belly moment for you that made you or said to you, okay, this is the right, or this is going to be the right career for me, and I can give so much back?
Do you know, I'll be perfectly honest. When I was at school and I was doing my A levels, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
So you didn't know?
I didn't.
Oh,
know
you
what
didn't
I
know?
wanted-
Okay.
No. My mother started her nurse training, and I did do some work experience when it was at Hinchinbrook Hospital when that first opened, and I quite enjoyed that. But I have to say, I did go into nursing because I didn't really know what else to do,
Okay.
which sounds really bizarre.
Unprepared?
Yes, exactly. But it was such an eye-opener, and I soon found that I couldn't imagine doing anything else. It's as I said previously, there's so many positives about being a nurse, even though it's really hard and it's very stressful, and there's been a number of times you go home crying, but there's so much joy as well.
It's such a rewarding job.
Yeah.
So-
and it's the feeling that you get when you've just done that one little thing for a person, whether it be a patient or your colleague, and you know you've made a difference. And that's such a feel-good factor. That's what keeps you going.
Sorry, I had to have a little chuckle at unprepared, only not because of you, but because I'm actually quite glad you've said it like that, because that's the truth and reality, isn't it, for most young people? So we're not going to sit here and say you're going to prepare and plan something and it's going to go exactly how you planned it. But the reason why the word unprepared was key is because, like I said earlier, when we sit down with these young people in school, they genuinely are unprepared. Not because they want to be unprepared, it's because of lack of
guidance. But they've not had
guidance.
experience with anything else, have they? I mean, you've spent all your life up until that point at school, and you've been directed all through that.
That's a big change.
And then all of a sudden, you've got to make decisions about something you don't know anything about. So I think the route that Bella took is a really good, safe option, because you're not committed sort of financially to doing a degree course. You go in as a healthcare assistant. That will give you a really good grounding and a basis.
Had a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Prior
while I
to
was a
that,
healthcare assistant.
prior to
you
being signed
learned
on.
such a lot, which helped you then when you went. You
Of course,
decided
absolutely.
actually I need to be a registered nurse, and that was a massive step for you to do that.
I didn't have any student loans to pay off.
No.
So
That's the luxury of was that an NHS scholarship that we're referring
that was
to?
an apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship.
Yes.
Okay, so
I know for our trust at the moment, the NWAF, they're still doing that. It's more for what we call the
nursing associates,
associates, which is
below a band 5, which is basically you're not qualified as an actual adult nurse.
okay.
So
you're basically an associate, so you can only do certain amounts of,
They have sort of progressed a lot. They shouldn't sort of take charge of a ward on a regular basis, but and they can't prescribe drugs, whereas some.
But then some areas you can, some areas you
depends on where they're working, doesn't it? But that's a shortened course, and that's another great way in.
And then you can go and extend and do your top up, and then become a registered nurse.
Okay, that makes sense.
There's different avenues, definitely.
Leading on from that, then, one for you, Bella. What are the challenges of being a nurse? So we talked a lot about. We've talked a lot about benefits. We talked a lot about where nursing can get you, and we're trying to obviously sell this to young people who want to go into nursing, but they're not sure. So we're obviously sitting here advocating for being a nurse. Now, what's the challenges of being a nurse then on the other side of this, or the other end?
Well, I'll be honest with you. One of them is long shift work. Working in A&E, the long days are like 7 o'clock in the morning, and then you finish at 7:30. It's a busy environment, so sometimes breaks are crucial for us staff to have, but because you just want to, get jobs done and see patients, and give that extra time to them as well. Sometimes, we as nurses, we forget to take breaks as well. We go later. And also it's
I can't remember if I've ever forgotten to take a break at any job.
Emotional involvement, which obviously you have to stay professional as well. Staff
bank
shortages,
holidays,
bank holidays,
Christmas, and or whatever celebratory days are important.
Whenever I used to say to Vicky, I need Eid off.
When is Eid?
And Vicky was like, what is Eid?
Yeah. So we made a deal, didn't we? I said, I'll work the Christmases, you just give me the Eid off.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's a good deal. So one you guys can use that there.
Timekeeping as well. Just got to ensure, that you
what about
have
the salary?
time management.
How rich are you guys? I know Bella's not that rich because she's living off me. But Vicky, how many millions have you got in the bank?
Well, I wish, but no, I think that's if you want to have a really well paid job, you wouldn't necessarily go into nursing. However, if you do climb the ladder, once you get to sort of like 7, 8,
I think she took the elevator.
you can get a good wage.
It's as much like it's really what you put in, isn't it? And then
it is, and it's what you want to get out of it as
what
well.
You also want to get out, yeah, definitely.
Because some people like the fact that you do long shifts because it gives you more days off in the week. And if you've got childcare issues, you've only got to sort childcare out for perhaps 2 days a week rather than 4 if you're working sort of shorter days. So there's a lot of pros and cons. I mean, you're finding it all right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, another thing with A&E is the good thing about it is, and we didn't have this over at Stamford Hospital, unfortunately, but over at emergency department, we have like a self-rostering system where we put in the shifts that we want to work, and then it gets approved. Sometimes it does get rejected, and we do have to work days that we don't really want to work. But usually 9 out of 10 times we do get the days that we want to work, and weekends work better for me. So, it's quite nice because I only do part-time as well, and then I'll pick up bank shifts. So that's another thing as well. So the joys of working in the NHS, we're always short-staffed, so we can always pick up extra.
I was going to go on to that, actually.
More money in our pockets.
It works obviously in your favour in the sense of obviously bank shifts and work available. Now, the last section of the show today is actually about real world. So we're going to take it away from yourselves, we're going to take it away from the students, and actually there's a lot of real world issues at the minute around nursing. You just mentioned staffing crisis. To be honest with you, it's a quick Google search earlier. I didn't do intensive research on this, but currently 50,000 to 70,000 vacancies only in the UK, and that's for nursing. That sounds like too many.
It is.
Too many. So the crisis obviously is real. There is a massive short. I did not expect it to be that much, to be honest with you. But currently, to have 50, let's use a smaller figure, 50,000 vacancies open around the UK at the minute. How would you guys, or how have you guys been dealing with it?
It's been a long-term problem for many years now, being sort of short-staffed. Fortunately, as Bella was mentioning, that there's bank shifts available, so people take that up.
Assuming with incentives.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So you get paid extra money for those. So, but there are days where you're fully staffed and you take the rough with the smooth, basically. So it'd be nice if we could get more people interested in nursing. They have open days regularly at NWAFT, at PCH. Yeah. People can go along to that and get some information from there.
But how, this is just from my own curiosity, how or what do you think the factors are for us being in this position now? So nursing, I always thought of it growing up as a very esteemed job. So how have we managed to get to a position now where there's that many vacancies open, surely the benefits, like we mentioned throughout the episode, there's so many benefits that outweigh the cons. So what factors? Is it the COVID, Brexit? What could we put it down to?
The issues were there prior to that. Obviously, it's got worse from COVID and Brexit. But I think we've relied too much on overseas nurses to be propping us up.
Right.
This is just a personal opinion. We need to encourage more of our own population to enter nursing and not be frightened. I think a lot of youngsters are frightened of the fact that it's a degree level now. I think originally they made it into a degree to make it more attractive to people.
Right.
And I think sometimes that can go the other way, that you've got people that aren't quite as academic that make excellent nurses, are very safe.
Put them off,
yeah, and they feel that they're not up to it. So I would, if you've got any inkling that you would like to be a nurse, I would certainly look into it a bit deeper. And as I said previously, start off as a healthcare assistant. That's quite an interesting job. And as Bella said, there's lots of things you can do, have extra training so that you do those other competencies, and it makes it more interesting.
Yeah, learning the ropes from the bottom,
yeah.
That really does help.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so due to that, I know we mentioned apprenticeships earlier. Due to all of this staff shortages, just to add to what you just mentioned, Vicky, the government has introduced, I can't exactly remember what the apprenticeship was called, but I know they've introduced apprenticeships now.
Yes, yeah.
To try and close a gap. So that as a one solution that they've offered. And again, one of the authors at nurses.co.uk, despite all of this, the interesting quote I took from that was, she said, despite these challenges, nurses still provide high quality care to patients, and their dedication to the profession is truly inspiring. That article finished off with that line, which I completely agree with. Now, just to finish, we're almost at the end of the show, so I'm going to give this time to both of you really to tell us whatever advice you want to give to the youngsters out there, which, again, I've planned this as much as I could, this whole episode. Because I don't know much about nursing myself, which is quite good, because then obviously you guys are not just educating the listeners out there, you're educating even the adults and the grown-ups. I know for a fact I probably won't end up in nursing as a career, but just knowing and having that information and updates of these little issues with the government and things like that I think it's crucial for us to know what is happening with the NHS, what's happening around us in the healthcare sector. So maybe one day we could probably pass that knowledge on, and I definitely will in a school environment, to some of my kids and tutees around the school. But really just want to open the floor up to you guys. Now, you could add whatever you guys want, but this is a message to the young listeners out there, something that I know I've missed, but what do you guys think is really going to make that difference?
I think, obviously, what I said earlier about the whole how I obviously got into it, I wish I had done it straight when I've had come out of school. I wish I went straight into uni.
But that's interesting because.
But
okay, I'll let you finish.
Saying that, I'm actually quite glad that I've done it this way as well, because obviously now, like I said, I don't have any student loans to pay off. I'm not in any financial crisis. I don't owe anybody any money. And it was kind of given to me on the plate. I went through obviously apprenticeship. I was a healthcare assistant for many years, and I worked up the ladder. And then obviously I got seconded to do my training. And I could say that I honestly prefer doing it this way. But as I got older, going into uni and then trying to revise and
you've almost switched off, haven't you, from that gap that you've had away from education?
Exactly.
But I think in hindsight, like you mentioned, I know, Vicky, you said earlier, maybe going through the healthcare assistant route is good, and I totally agree with that, because you learn the ropes, you know the industry from the bottom up,
and you're a bit more resilient as well.
Yeah,
I think.
And you're expecting things that maybe nurses fresh out of uni first time round probably got scared of, or probably shied away from. So you had a number of years experience, then you went into this route of the uni route. But I think I totally agree with Vicky, and I think in hindsight you've begun, or you've grown to accept that actually this was probably the better option for you to grow as a nurse. So anything, Vicky, from yourself to offer the students out there listening?
Really just what Bella's said. I know the Northwest Anglia Foundation Trust at PCH, they release apprenticeships between April and May for cohorts starting in the following September. So if you keep an eye out on the NHS website.
So what was that? What was that called again?
It's NWAFT.
How do you spell that one?
NWAFT. It's short for Northwest Anglia Foundation Trust.
NWAFT, yeah.
So they release their apprenticeships beginning of sort of like April to May for the cohort starting in September.
Right.
So keep an eye out for that. Also keep your eye open for the open days. There's a lot of information. You just don't make appointments, you just turn up on the day. It's for health cares, for registered nurses. As I said before, there's adult nursing, children's nursing, mental health nursing, learning disability nurses. So there's so much out there. So don't think it's just plain old nursing, because it's not.
Yeah, and I think even on the journey here, we were talking about the internet having all these free websites and stuff for knowledge and information, which is crucial. But again, as we've highlighted throughout this episode, it's sometimes like Nabila, for yourself, Vicky opened that door for yourself when you probably were at a stagnated point in your career, when you thought, okay, I'm a healthcare assistant now, this is probably what I'm going to be for the rest of my life, and you almost accept that, don't you? Until, like you mentioned earlier, so Vicky, obviously,
she was my knight in shining armour.
I think we're both grateful for everything you have done, and I can obviously vouch for your part of the journey. It's for someone like yourself who opened that door, and then today we've got obviously another nurse sitting here who maybe, if that door wasn't open, you probably, I can't say probably, but you had a very good chance of just staying as a HCA for the entirety of your career, which isn't a bad thing. But I'm just saying, you wanted to push yourself after being advised and guided to another direction, which you didn't know was available to you. So again, for the listeners out there, even if you're sitting there and thinking, I've done as much as I can, and you almost accepted, okay, this is as far as I'm going, then just remember there is always going to be somebody out there. This is where I'm trying to take the conversation away from the websites and the internet, because sometimes you do need to speak to people. Absolutely. You do need to let them know about your concerns and any questions. No questions, obviously a bad question. And that might just be your entry to another dimension of the healthcare sector or any other industry. It's not just restricted to healthcare. Right, so we're going to wrap it up. So thank you so much, guys, for giving us this hour. Truly, truly blessed to have you guys here today and sharing your knowledge and expertise.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's been lovely having a chat.
You are most welcome. And just to clarify, I do not know these two people from before. First time I met them, they hitchhiked a lift to Salam Radio. So thank you for tuning in, guys, and hopefully that helps you.
Take care, guys.
Assalamu alaikum. Take care.